If you've been playing Minecraft for a few years now, you probably remember a period of time from maybe 2015 to 2018 where the game was ultimately pronounced dead by its once loving fan base. Where once the game was a household name being played by almost all your friends at school, now all those friends were calling it boring or dead, no longer interested like they once were. It didn't help that during this time, many beloved YouTubers lost much of their traction, leaving Minecraft entirely or never truly uploading videos like they used to before. Mojang certainly didn't help either, releasing one of their most hated updates during this time period, as well as a following series of lackluster updates in the coming years. It wasn't a great time for Minecraft, with its popularity falling to lows it hadn't seen since 2011. But then it all changed. In 2019, it seemed interest was renewed in the game all of a sudden. PewDiePie was finally doing a Minecraft series, newer channels were popping up and getting tens of millions of views, SMPs like Hermitcraft and SMP Live were booming, Minecraft Monday was bringing streamers together every week, and the game would begin receiving content players had been asking Mojang to add for years. All was bright in the future of Minecraft, once more. Mostly. But hold up a second, we missed something important here. In fact, we overlooked something vital. You see, while Minecraft may have regained its popularity around here, the stepping stones were actually laid around here. And while most players will cite Dream, PewDiePie or other prominent figures as the reason behind the game's boom in popularity, they are missing the whole picture. That's right, you see what's often overlooked about the whole Minecraft revival is one Minecraft version or update in particular. One Minecraft version which set a different precedent for the future of the game, which is still being followed to this day. And that update is Minecraft 1.13, the update which saved Minecraft, the unsung and forgotten hero, and also the killer of multiplayer performance and mod support. But wait a minute, how could 1.13 have been the update that saved Minecraft, while also simultaneously harming what made Minecraft last so long in the first place? Well, first, let's talk about what Minecraft 1.13 was. 1.13, or the Aquatic Update, was Minecraft's answer to the content dry locations that were Minecraft's oceans. Here's the history of Minecraft Oceans. Besides when they were added in Alpha and then made larger in Beta 1.8, for a period of 3 years they saw absolutely no changes. In 1.7.2 they were slightly modified, and of course in 1.8 ocean monuments were finally added to the game, but besides that, oceans were almost identical to how they were when they were first added to Minecraft. And considering they made up such a large portion of the world, they got really boring really fast, with absolutely no variety or interesting features besides the occasional ocean monument. They were simply large bodies of water or an oversized puddle. 1.13 finally made oceans actual oceans for the first time in 7 years, adding structures such as underwater ruins and shipwrecks which could be found with some decent and unique loot. Buried treasure maps could also be found in such structures, making exploring them slightly more exciting. Just as exciting as hitting that subscribe button. There is no more invigorating experience, trust me, so make sure to sub. No pressure, of course. Anyways, besides structures and loot, new ocean biomes that actually made the ocean look different rather than just increasing how deep the water was were added. We of course got warm and lukewarm oceans that generated with sandy, more inviting looking floors, also changing the color or tint of the water. Coral reefs were added, beautiful and colourful underwater forests, which really were a spectacle to see when flying above with an elytra. We also got ice spikes and ice spike biomes as the frozen alternative to the ocean, once again adding some much needed variety to the Minecraft world. Overall, Minecraft's oceans got some much needed diversity, making it seem more alive, interesting and worth exploring, unlike the oversized puddles we had in the past years. 1.13 also added a new mob, Drowned, the aquatic version of the zombie, and unlike skeleton and zombie variants added in the past, like husks and strays, Drowned were actually useful as they could drop Nautilus shells and tridents. Nautilus shells were of course added in conjunction with the Heart of the Sea, an item only found in buried treasures. They could be crafted into a conduit, the underwater equivalent of the beacon, allowing players unlimited breathing underwater, underwater night vision, increased mining speed, as well as damaging mobs and emitting light within a specific radius. And of course you can't forget Trident, the first melee and range weapon in Minecraft, which when combined with enchants such as Riptide, made for a great method of transport in wet conditions. Walking around striking any mob you wanted with lightning during a thunderstorm never gets old either. Bubble columns were also awesome for underwater transportation and item transportation. Kelp was a cool farmable resource, simultaneously making deeper oceans seem much more ominous, and blue ice was a nicer, more premium upgrade over normal ice, allowing for even faster nether highways. As for mobs, we got dolphins, turtles, and phantoms, which were of course the worst thing about 1.13. Even caves got some love, now getting underwater variants where magma would generate, creating cool bubble column effects. 1.13 tied everything together really well, and almost every new addition had a purpose and function that would last well into the late game and added content to the game which was only beneficial. It was a really solid update with well thought out additions that all made sense with the update's overarching aquatic theme. But beyond that, it was also a massive breath of fresh air from Minecraft's past updates. 1.9, which released in February of 2016, added a handful of cool features which were ultimately overshadowed by the at the time generally hated combat changes. And while your opinion on 1.9 combat would likely be more positive now, at the time in a 1.8 minigame dominated multiplayer scene, it was very disliked. 1.10 is a candidate for Minecraft's most uninteresting update of all time, adding 3 entirely useless and rare mobs, with magma blocks being the only notable addition. 1.11 was okay, adding woodland mansions and its inclusive mobs as well as shulker boxes and observers, but the issue is you don't spend much time at all in woodland mansions and they are very rare, so on an average day playing, it felt like nothing really changed. And finally 1.12 just added some colourful blocks. So 1.13, completely revamping oceans and adding lots of not only new but useful content that would be used regularly when playing, actually made the game feel fresh and reinvigorated, which many of the prior updates failed to do so. However, the biggest change that came with 1.13 was a change in Mojang's update philosophy. You see, at the time of 1.13's release, it was one of the biggest updates the game had ever had. Since then, that title has changed with almost every update. When 1.16 released Changing the Nether, it was called the biggest update ever. 1.17 and 1.18 would be considered even bigger, completely changing cave and terrain generation, and while 1.19 was not as big, it still blew older updates like 1.10 away. Even 1.14 and 1.15, which were generally smaller updates, still had way more changes in content than most updates prior to 1.13. And that's because after 1.13, each update became themed, while also becoming bigger and higher quality, rather than Mojang adding random features with no purpose, like polar bears. They instead began focusing on updating older content that had become boring or outdated, like villages or even the Nether. Updates became true updates to dated Minecraft content, rather than just random additions. And that's why the game felt considerably more fresh in 1.13, because you wouldn't just encounter a new feature or change once and then never see it again. It would be present whenever you played the game. Between 2015 and 2018, we got end cities, elytras, shulker boxes, some new colourful blocks, and woodland mansions. Between 2019 and 2022, we got revamped oceans, a revamped nether, revamped villages, entirely new Minecraft terrain generation, massive caves, ancient cities, the warden, and so much more in the same 3-year time period. This is why Minecraft hasn't really lost popularity since 2019, instead fluctuating but remaining mostly steady, with updates bringing players back in. It's because Minecraft's updates are actually significant enough now to the point where they get people talking and excited for the new changes and eager to start playing the game again, something 1.9, 1.10 and 1.12 all failed to do. Exciting updates are important to Minecraft's longevity, as it's inevitable that players will lose interest over time, especially when the game is over a decade old, so keeping it fresh and exciting prevents players from thinking it's gotten stale or dead, and make them more likely to return or continue playing the game. There's another element to consider here though, and that's the fact that Minecraft never actually died. Sure, it lost a fair amount of popularity due to lackluster updates, but for the most part, the 1.9 combat changes and Microsoft's acquisition of the game led to lots of players gaining a negative opinion of Mojang. I'm sure many of you in school throughout 2015 to 2018 would have heard at least one person say that 1.9 killed Minecraft or Microsoft ruined Minecraft. I guarantee you've heard people say that Mojang should have just stopped updating the game. Now obviously those statements are entirely untrue, but that doesn't change the fact that such a negative sentiment, even if it was unjustified, spread, especially amongst players who had played the game for some time. 1.13 changed a lot of players' negative stigma and opinions of modern Minecraft, as there were many new additions and changes that were all well received. In conjunction with the newfound freshness that came with 1.13, a lot of players' opinions of Mojang and the game switched, becoming way more positive and accepting of updates. The general perception of the game, even amongst older players, was a lot more positive now, and as such, the 1.9 killed Minecraft and Microsoft ruined Minecraft statements became significantly less common, at least until the middle of this year. The new mobs and mechanics introduced in 1.13 began a trend that would continue in future updates, each reminding players why they fell in love with the game to begin with. Now, 1.13 wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, in fact it had some significant problems. Game and server performance not only fell off a cliff, but fell straight into the void. At the time 1.13 released, I was running a 1.12.2 modded server with friends. When we updated to 1.13 vanilla, performance got so much worse that we had to rent a more expensive server with more RAM and a better processor. Many 1.12.2 servers still exist today, 2B2T being the most known, simply because 1.13 plus server performance is so abysmal. Lower end computers without dedicated graphics cards were hit hard, and I remember that people were asking so often about when 1.13 Optifine would release that the official subreddit had to implement rules against it and keep a live updates thread. Client performance got so bad that certain players couldn't play the game without Optifine. And the reason Optifine took so long to update was because 1.13 also hurt modding badly, changing much of the game's code, IDs and data saving formats, meaning many mods needed entire recodes or rewrites to work again. This is why so many mods and mod packs never made it past 1.12.2, as many mod creators didn't want to spend the time to entirely recode their mods which had been broken. Now, such performance issues have improved since, and modding support has caught up for the most part, but neither have returned to 1.12.2 levels of stability. Regardless though, 1.13 changed the way Mojang approached Minecraft updates, securing the game's future, while simultaneously reminding older players why they originally fell in love with the game, which made the entire Minecraft revival possible when older players eventually returned to the game in 2019. I can say for a fact that not nearly as many players would have returned and stayed if the game was still in 1.12.2. 1.13 ultimately saved Minecraft. I hope you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe, thank you all so much for watching.